Hey Mary, me again. I just got done watching your second video and wanted to provide some feedback. You did a really nice job going over the disclosure. That just kind of starts to come a little bit more naturally once you have your own actual disclosure and you've memorized the information, the content in it. So it just is one of those things that we have to do, and it feels a little bit more businessy, but it just is part of the job. But so good job reviewing that with her and allowing her to ask questions if she had any. So we're getting a little bit deeper into her situation, and I noticed that you were asking a lot more open-ended questions, and that was great. I would still like to see a little bit more of the summarization. What I'm seeing with her is that you're asking the right questions initially. Questions of here's the recap of our goal. It seems like you want to think about ways to cope with the situation better. What are some ways that you might be able to cope better? So you're asking the questions, but she's getting the responses are very situationally based. That's how she's responding to you. So instead of her responding about her feelings, she's responding to you with more just of the facts, of the background, the situation that's going on with her family. So don't miss those opportunities to redirect her and get at the feelings part of, that's counseling. It's what we're doing, right? And so she's deflecting a bit. Again, this is mock sessions, so but you could still pull things out of a client in a mock session. So she's deflecting just by going back to the story. Don't feel compelled to get sucked into the story. You know the story by now, right? We're on session 2. You've got the family history. You've got the family background. There's always going to be, it seems like, dramatic issues that come up with this family. But there's not a lot that you can change within that counseling room with her that has to do with the family situation. So don't feel like you're getting sucked into the story. So if she's not giving you what you're asking, so if you're asking, what ways do you think you could cope better, then that's a cue for you to be a little bit more direct. And this can happen with young clients especially too, that they don't really understand kind of the counseling terminology behind it. So you could say, if this were to go perfectly for you, what would that look like? If this conversation went really, really well, can you describe that to me? Even though you're asking, what do you think would happen next week? Be a little bit more specific with that too. If you are asking her about that conversation that she's going to have with her mom, where she's asking about going to breakfast, it seems like maybe they typically go through the drive-thru, but she wants to sit down at the restaurant. So you could say, hey, pretend I'm your mom right now. What would you say to me to make sure that I know that you want to sit down at the McDonald's and eat breakfast with me? And then let's say we're having the conversation over Egg McMuffins. What are you going to say? What is that conversation going to look like if it could go perfectly for you? So you might just need to get a little bit more specific with the line of questioning, to help get those juices flowing for the client, in terms of their thought process, what they would want a situation to look like. It's one thing to kind of be abstract and say, yes, we would hope that you cope better, but what does it look like? What does it look like when you're not coping well? What does it look like when you are coping well? So just think of that, because you're probably going to have an opportunity to do that with the third one, I would suspect, because now you're going to be talking about what happened when she was at her mom's. And remember, again, you just when it's something like if she's responding with, there was a point in there towards the end where she was asking about how she would get her parents to go to the games. And again, that's not something that you can change necessarily with her, but you could ask, what would it look like if they were about to be there and they were about to sit. And you did do this a little bit, again, when you were getting at her asking about baton practice, and how she would go about doing that, and asking her mom to go to practice with her, even though she did deflect, right? She said, well, she's the only one that would drive me anyway. You brought her back to that, and I thought that was a really good illustration of what I'm talking about. So when you asked her, how are you going to get your mom to drive? And she said, well, she's the only one that drives anyway. You pulled her right back in and said, okay, that's great, but how is that conversation going to go? So that's kind of what you would need to keep doing with her, is this, when she's playing this role of this younger client. And the goal that she set kind of at the end, about her mom, wanting her mom to be open a little bit more. Again, make sure the goals are always about your client, because we can't change what mom's doing, we can't change what dad's doing, we can't change what grandparents are doing, can't change what the court's doing, but what we can help is our clients to change what their reaction is in their responses. So we're getting a little bit deeper here with the feedback, because you're getting the gist of it, the demeanors, your nonverbals are great, not a lot of reliance on taking notes, good eye contact. Maybe slow down a little bit, take some deep breaths, use silence. With younger clients too, that helps, because they're go 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 high energy. So just take a moment to be with yourself before feeling like you need to respond back or move on to the next subject. So I can't wait to see what happens in the third session, and keep up the good work. Okay.